almost everybody on this stage is willing to admit is their favorite clean energy source. Many clean energy sources work together. We help make that conversation of working together include our favorite clean energy source, nuclear power. You are currently sitting in the Net Zero Nuclear Green Zone Pavilion here in the Energy Transition Hub. For those of you who have not been to COP before, the fact that we have a Net Zero Nuclear Pavilion here of this beauty and this generous size, yet a giant Korea hydro and nuclear power booth towers over us like a looming nuclear power plant. This is something that has never occurred. This is extraordinary. Several days ago, the presidency of COP hosted the first ever official Blue Zone event, celebrating the role of nuclear energy and declaring it as essential for meeting net zero goals. This is, again, absolutely unprecedented. There's a lot of cynicism out there about everything. Pick a topic, there's cynicism. There's cynicism about COP as a waste of time. There's cynicism about advocacy as any kind of thing that can make a difference. I am incredibly proud to bring to you today a panel filled with people who have made small gestures, sometimes a lot of them, and occasionally some large gestures, and have fundamentally altered the way our world is going to end up in sometimes already now, sometimes 5 and 10 years. And we're seeing those results unfold. And we also have my dear friend, colleague, and boss in most ways, Paris Wines, who is the director of Stand Up for Nuclear, one of the leading global advocacy efforts in nuclear. Paris Wines, you set out after college to be a nuclear energy crusader, right?
Yes, that was my childhood dream.
Could you tell us a little bit about what university you went to, what the culture there was about nuclear, and what you thought about it coming out?
Yeah, so I'm from California. I grew up in a beautiful small beach town, and I was like, let's go to a university in another small beautiful beach town of the University of Santa Cruz. And the best way to describe it is like it's nature camp for adults. It's in a beautiful redwood forest. You're walking between these beautiful trees as I'm like huffing and puffing to go to class. So I wanted to change the world. I was concerned about climate change. And I said, environmental sciences is going to be my way forward. And when I go there, I become vegan. I join the environmental science community and club. I was the clean building intern. And I was like energy and the engineers and the tech people at my university don't understand. We need to redeem ourselves and go back to nature. And we cannot fix this with a technological solution. How dare you? And when I moved to the Bay Area, I was like, okay, I'm going to, of course, work for an environmental nonprofit. Sierra Club, NRDC was a big option for me. And I guess fortunately, I stumbled upon this nonprofit called Environmental Progress. And it said nature and prosperity for all. Very broad, and I was like, oh, that's my mission. That looks real good. I'm going to be cool. And I apply, and the founder, and that's where I met Mark Nelson. The founder was an environmentalist. He worked on the first initial Green Deal, I guess, for Obama. And his, basically, as if I wanted to get hired, I needed to watch this TED Talk. And I was like, why I changed my mind about nuclear. And background, I'm a millennial, and I have no concept of nuclear energy. I said, maybe there's bomb. I think that's it. And I watched the TED Talk, and I was like, yeah, that seems real good. That's my hope. I'm ready to go on this crusade, and how dare my professors at my university did not talk to me about nuclear energy or energy in general. They should have mandated it.
So in other words, you got an environmental science degree. The environment is impacted by humans. You studied some of the impacts, but not the energy. And then they added on top of that by the time you got there, oh yeah, there's this carbon thing. It's part of the environmental problem, but they never learned about the energy. And they educated you. It's a very good university, very high ranking, very prestigious. And they gave you a degree in environmental, without even telling you how energy is made in your own state.
Yes, and I didn't know we had a nuclear plant in my state that was an hour and a half from my hometown that powered my existence and my life. And then I had another nuclear plant down south, 4 hours. I didn't even know. What a loser.
So we hear a slight preoccupation with being cool. Are you cool now that you support nuclear energy?
I'm the coolest. You get to work with me.
All the kids, if you heard that, you want to be cool, Paris says you need to like nuclear energy. Yeah, that's peer pressure. You'll have a lot of it, but it starts today. Paris, can you tell me about what you've done now that you get that crusading spirit that was going to be there for something like organic toothpaste or something like that to save the climate? No, this one's real. She normally says that.
No, I made my own toothpaste and my own deodorant. So yes, that was real.
Right. Do you still make your own deodorant?
No, I've switched to the good stuff that I buy in the store.
All right. So how did this crusading spirit find its expression? I want you to say a little bit, maybe even just a list of geographies where nuclear plants leading up to even only months ago were supposed to close, where you helped people fight for their own nuclear plants the way you fought for the one near your house.
Right. So how I manifested this crusade, or my energy of how I wanted to change the world, was a global initiative advocating for the protection and expansion of nuclear energy. And, up until now, many of the plants were at risk of closure. So the one I'll start with to highlight, in my home state of California, we had the last nuclear plant supplied around 15% of our clean electricity, and it was scheduled to be closed in 2025. That was premature. They said, do not apply for your license application. So what we did was, none of the politicians, when you call them, said, oh, nuclear is a done deal. Nobody talks to me about nuclear. Diablo Canyon's a lost cause. Oh, but then, the orange skies happened in 2020 and people were terrified. It looked like an apocalypse
So large fires put smoke up, not just choking people down below, but up high altitude in multiple layers, and it looked like out of a movie. It looked like movie filters, and people woke up. When I woke up, I looked out the window, and the sky in San Francisco was brown. San Franciscans may have clouds, but they don't expect brown skies. And during this time, Diablo Canyon was still set to close. It represented the last large climate-proof, non-climate change increasing energy source in the entire state. And California has been a major influence on all COPs to date. All of them have tons of California. Sometimes California comes here as if they are president of the United States, not even the president. And yet they were going to close down their own power plant, and then the brown skies. So
Right. Okay, so the brown skies happened. And then timing was on our side. We had various individuals and groups start to assemble again. We had already started the fight in 2016 initially, and then it just kind of died down. It seemed like it wasn't on our side, but because of this event, we got a beautiful team together. And for the next 2 years, we called into public hearings and we did phone banking actions. Eric was part of that. And we basically did the work that the nuclear industry should have done for their own plant to stand up to the state government, because they said, we are going to have blackouts if you do not secure more energy. And how dare you close your nuclear plant? That is 2,000 megawatts of clean power, reliable power. And it is there during these fire events when solar's not running real great. And so our groups that assemble in these areas do the hard work, the nitty gritty. We call our politicians. We go out and do tabling events, and we're just there talking about nuclear because nobody else is doing it. So we've done this in California, and I'm very, very, very happy to report that, Governor Newsom.
no, just they won. Paris won.
We won.
The nuclear advocates at the plants won, and California is now going to stay a nuclear-powered state, and will start spreading that message to other places. Katie, may I ask, did you have anything at all to do with the support for nuclear that you just described? And are you an advocate on the Youth Advocacy and Nuclear Policy in the United States panel? So wait, you're trying to tell me it wasn't just advocacy, it was advocacy, but not the one sitting in this chair, the one sitting in this chair.
I just wanted to reflect on this comment about government officials.
I'll comment on that. You know what? There was incentives from the federal government in the Biden administration. This is one of the most pro-nuclear administrations we've seen, and there has been money being put into projects, and there's other motivations for him keeping the plant, but that money did good things for us. So I appreciate it. It all culminated. We had all these factors of why it worked. But we do this in Belgium, we do it in Germany, we do it around the world, even when there's no nuclear plants. We're there talking about it. And if you have the pleasure of meeting some of our delegates here, we have 50 delegates from 22 different countries who are doing this hard work in other places. And it takes many forms. It's policy, or education, wide range. And then I think we're getting better at building this bridge between the federal, state, and then just normal people.